He's had to do it the hard way, has Jim Hernandez. And yet again, for the third race in a row, he'll start off the back row at a position number 13. Cars now rolling down pit lane. Saw the pole man, Cooper Cutts, also leading this series as part of the third round of the First Focus Radical Cup Australia. And they're all getting set for what will be an exciting final endurance race, 48 minutes, as the clock starts to count down now and they exit pit lane. I'm Cameron Van Dungan. I'll be calling the action with Thomas Randall, the last of our races for the day as part of the Shannon Speed Series Event Elect GT Festival Queensland. And Thomas, I saw you looking in and around the cars in the marshalling area. There's a bit been going on with these incredible radical cars. What can you fill us in on?
Yeah, there has been. Good afternoon, Mr. Cameron Van Dungan. I'm actually just looking at the commentary box window to see whether or not Bradley Russell can get their car out. They had gearbox issues in the previous race, which meant a DNF, and the team at Arise Racing have been working frantically to change the engine. And as the cars were on the marshalling area, they were just trying to put the floor on the car, but unfortunately, it would seem like they have not made it out in time, which is a real shame because this is a long race, the third and final race of the weekend, and it is the final race for round 3 of the Shannon Speed Series here at Queensland Raceway. And I can't believe that the weekend's nearly over, Cameron.
Let's go through the starting grid for race number 3 of the First Focus Radical Cup Australia. The final race of the weekend. Cooper Cutts will be on pole position, courtesy of an outstanding qualifying session where he had the first 2 fastest laps. And we're hearing what seems like the Russell Radical making its way out into pit lane. Peter Paddon will start alongside Cooper Cutts on the front row of the grid. Chris Reindler, he'll start the race but will hand over to Bryce Moore part way through this race. Zig Fuhrmeister will start at a position 4. Terry Knowles. Russell will start most likely from pit lane if he's allowed to take the start. Champion Medlin, Cirillo, Claire Hadid and Sue Hughes, with Jim Hernandez, who we heard from before, the final man on the grid. Thomas Randall, last thoughts before we get this one underway?
Well, firstly, great that they got that car out there. I would say it'll be a pit lane start at worst case scenario, which isn't too bad considering it's a 50-minute race, this one. And these two on the front row, geez, they've got some history, don't they? Cooper Cutts, Peter Paddon.
Oh, look at Chris Reindler starting to get very racy. He's going to be resuming his battle with Zig Fuhrmeister that we saw last time around. So we're about to get this one underway. We'll watch the two off the front row. Cooper Cutts will have the inside run. We saw just how brave Peter Paddon has been down into turn number 1. And yes, you can see the Russell car at pit exit. A lock up again. We haven't gone yet. Lights are out and we are racing. Final race of the weekend for the Shannon Speed Series. And they're locked side by side through turn number 1. Cooper Cutts has the inside run and they've gone off. Down at turn 1, 3 cars off. That's your race leader.
I think that's Cutts, Reindler and Fuhrmeister all off there at turn number 1.
And they're stuck, I think. Who's through? I can see Reindler is stuck and so is Cooper Cutts. So that will bring out potentially an intervention from race control. I'm not saying the word yet. Peter Paddon, Knowles and Cirillo, the top 3.
And this is excellent stuff for Paddon, who was trying to go around the outside there. We go on safety car, which was kind of inevitable there considering there's about 2 or 3 cars off at turn number 1. And one of those is our championship leader. So that is massive, potentially massive ramifications. And the worst thing possible that could be here is going a lap down. So if he can't get that car out of there, that's going to be a real problem. And yeah, I don't know whether there was contact, maybe.
So something's happened, though, because remember, they were side by side as they entered, but Peter Paddon at that shot, and hopefully we can get that again. Let's watch from the rear. He was already gone. All 3 cars were already gone. It's just out of shot, but remember, they turned in side by side, and on that front-on shot, it looked like Paddon was actually clear of Cooper Cutts. So watch this shot that we're about to see. Well, hopefully we'll see very shortly, and it'll be Paddon. See, Paddon was clear there.
So I don't know whether Cooper's lost it on his own on the way in, potentially, because...
But then the 2 going with him, I mean, they would have been able to make the corner. So there's 2 other cars that were behind going off with him. He got stuck at this point. That was when he turned his front wing into a shovel. And you can see there, That was that Zig Fuhrmeister who's back
Yep.
out on track and was lucky to be able to drive through. Reindler is the first out of the kitty litter.
And that they have gone a lap down here. So that's a massive ramification for the number 16 of Cooper Cutts, our championship leader going into this one. And this is all very good news for Peter Paddon. So we've got two Ford Raptor recovery vehicles out there trying to recover Cooper Cutts, and I'd say he'll just continue on once he gets out of the gravel trap. But yeah, it looked like a case of, so we had Cutts on the inside, and he actually moved over and held Paddon to get to the inside, but Paddon just swept right around the outside. He's got nothing to lose at this point in the title chase, because he was about 60 points behind going into this. So that's very costly for him. And at the moment, well, the way the points stand, it's actually not going to be too costly looking at this, because of Paddon's exclusion from race number 1, where he crossed the line in first. He currently sits on about 115 points, and Cooper Cutts on 112. So even with the way that it stands, Paddon's only at 3 points on him.
I'll tell you what, on a weekend that has so many different marks of cars out there, Ford Raptor and the BMW M safety car, so the Ford Raptor recovery vehicle, has probably got just as much, if not more, airplay than I think any other car. So these two here, BMW out in front and Ford Raptor getting the job done in recovering vehicles from where they've thrown themselves all over this circuit this weekend.
Seen a lot of cars go off at turn 1 this weekend, a lot of safety cars, because it's such a deep gravel trap there, carrying a lot of speed through there, and in a radical in the dry. I know that was the race start, but your mid-corner speed at turn 1 is about 170 kilometres an hour, 5th gear, and you're doing about 10,000 RPM on approach at just over 205 kilometres an hour. We've got a car slowing.
He's been waving out on track, so we're keeping an eye out. Looks like another car in a spot of bother.
Is that Sue Hughes potentially? I think so, but she's
32, so Sue Hughes. So I think she was just waving people past. So there was certainly a lot of commotion going on in the cockpit for Sue Hughes, but the car's back up to speed. Maybe she was just putting herself to the back of the pack and letting everyone else through. As we can see, the Arise Racing entry of Chris Reindler being towed back in.
So clearly that car can't continue under its own steam. Cooper Cutts has been released, and he's going to cross the line right now. So yeah, 1 lap down. Such a shame, because that's been a pretty incredible battle between those two, Paddon and Cutts, and yeah, he's going to be a lap down here. So that battle won't continue in this one unless, well, there's still plenty more of action to come. 40 minutes left on the clock.
We might have to get Charlie Barlow down to the team at Arise. They were where the Ferraris are, just giving her a bit of a heads up while she's listening in to see if we can find out from someone like a BD Suter Dawson, who should be able to give us an insight. And if Chris Reindler gets back there, he had the box seat. He was well and truly in the middle of it. Now, so he'll be back in pit lane shortly.
The only thing that I reckon Cooper Cutts will be praying for now is some rain. So I was just quickly looking at the radar, and there is a little bit of rain approaching. Whether or not we'll get it, we saw yesterday there was heaps of rain around the racetrack, and it was like there was a force field. It took so long for the rain to actually arrive on the circuit. And you can see in the background a bit of rain, but not on the track at the moment. So still under the control of the BMW M safety car here. Paddon weaving his tyres, and we're probably not going to be too far away from a restart, as those cars have been recovered. Yeah, such a shame for the number 16 of Cooper Cutts. And as it stands, Cameron, Cirillo, who's 3rd on the road, is looking at a round win potentially.
Certainly getting the job done at the moment, but plenty of time to go in this race. 39 minutes to go in this endurance race for the Eventelec GT Festival Queensland at the Shannon Speed Series for the first Focus Radical Cup Australia race number 3.
Look at the damage on the front of the 28 machine of Chris Reindler. Even on the front left here, just behind the left front wheel, and the diffuser, a lot of damage there, and that's just from going off in that gravel. You know, the cars are so low, they're so stiffly sprung. And I heard that that's what caught out Peter Paddon with that penalty yesterday. He actually went off the track grabbed a curb and the front splitter dropped, and there you have it. That's why the car came in under ride height. So
yeah, that was a massive penalty for the driver, who was really hoping for a fight back here in Queensland. So he may well get the big swing if he can get the race win here. Cooper Cutts won't be making a huge dent in it because he's going to come back from a lap down. 38 minutes remaining in this one. And there will be a stop in the middle of it. Poor old Bryce Moore, he won't be able to get in the car because Chris Reindler's parked up. So he had a very short race.
Yeah, unfortunately. But what the game plan here for Cooper Cutts will be, try and pass everyone and then hope for a safety car. And there's a bit of damage on that you can see there on the right-hand side of the floor on the 16. But as it stands, he'll actually finish second for the round. So he's down in 12th on the road. He's the last of the runners. We've just been told that safety car will be in this lap, the BMW M safety car, and Peter Paddon will control the field. And I wonder when he'll go this time, because we saw in the last race he waited basically until the start line before he pressed the throttle pedal to the floor.
I would imagine this strategy might be go earlier because he doesn't have the threat of a Cooper Cutts behind him. There'll be a little bit less gamesmanship, but still there's strategy that plays a part in this. We're not far away from getting back green racing. 37 minutes plus 1 lap to go. He's holding. Again. He is holding. He's causing a bit of chaos in the background. He's rating right to the line. And now he goes. Does Peter Paddon, your race leader, Terry Knowles, goes with him. Cirillo currently leads the round in 3rd. And Champion holding on to 4th. So now through turn 1, heading up to turn 2. And he's got a good gap already, has Peter Paddon.
I'm excited to see what Cooper Cutts will do here on the restart. He's already been let by Sue Hughes, and there he is behind Russell, and it was great that they got that car out there as well. So just remember, Cutts is a lap down, so if he can get his way past, well, pretty much the whole field and pray for a safety car, then he could be in the box seat to try and claw his way back. So all these manoeuvres he's doing, he's actually not moving up in terms of the timing totem. He will stay in 12th until he can, like I said, somehow get to the front of the field. A lot easier said than done, as it's appeared. Was that Ibi Hadid? And I think Russell going at it there at turn 4.
Yeah, Hadid's dropped right back. We'll see through the next split. And look at the move being put on here. That's the 47 of Claire. Through on the 23 of Hernandez. Hernandez managed to jump right up through the order off the back row, but now loses another spot. So Hernandez from 13th to 5th, now back to 6th.
Yeah, Peter Paddon, perfect restart. I think he left it even later this time, Cam, into turn 1, or at the main straight. He pretty much went right on the line, and it's sort of, you've got a whole field of cars behind you just wanting to get going, and now Terry Knowles under pressure from Cirillo. Where can Cirillo get a move done? Maybe into turn number 3. See if Terry can see him coming. It's not going to be this time by. And then there's Champion in the background there in the red Radical, number 34, with Claire in behind him in 5th. Then there's Jim Hernandez, who, remember, he started last for this one, and he's up into position number 6.
Yeah, he was as high as top 5. Zig Fuhrmeister, after that incident at the beginning of the race, the turn 1 incident, is now starting to fight his way back in. So he was able to drive out when the other two weren't. And he'll play a part in this race towards the back end of it. Plenty of time to go as Terry Knowles has seen off the initial threat of Cirillo. But Peter Paddon well and truly in control here, and just driving to a number. Protecting the car, protecting the lead. No need to push it too hard as the battle gets willing with Russell now putting a move potentially on Midland.
Some interesting lines into turn 1 there, as there's Cooper Cutts in behind Russell. Remember, these aren't for position, but I would say if you were in the car, in the Russell car, you just let him go by because he's a lap down and everyone knows how much pace he's got in that machine. So 2 cars in front, that's Medland and Russell. Here comes Cooper Cutts, and Russell's trying to pass Medland, and then you've got Cooper Cutts trying to, nearly 3 wide here into turn 3. There's Cooper Cutts. That's down the inside, I think, of Medland.
Very smart driving by Russell. He doesn't have to give up space for Cooper Cutts because that's a lapped car trying to unlap itself. shouldn't be getting involved in the battle at the moment. You can pick your moment. You're allowed to pass, but just don't get involved in the battles as you're making your way through to try and unlap yourself. Paddon, Cirillo, Knowles, Champion, Clare, your top 5. Hernandez, Ziggy, Fuhrmeister, and Russell in 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Going to replay here. This is the move done from Cirillo on Terry Knowles down at turn 3. Textbook move. Plenty of racing room left. And that's a position change for 2nd overall. So Cirillo up into 2nd and still, as it stands, will win the round. So that's quite impressive. Charlie?
I've managed to get Cutts and Reindler. We were wondering whether you were going to remain in the car. I could see the guys rushing around. Perhaps they were trying to fix it. But Chris, you have now got out of the car. So talk us through that incident.
Yeah, no, it was a bit of an unfortunate one, just turn 1, lap 1 incident. I think it got crossed up at the start there between Cooper and Paddon. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but Cooper went a bit sideways. I had nowhere to go. It was a bit of a concertina effect. So hopefully Cooper could keep going after that. I'm not too sure, actually.
You're still out there.
That's good, yeah.
Not the way that you wanted to finish your weekend, of course. You've had some good results and, of course, all the way through the wet and into the dry.
Yeah, look, I mean, we're probably faster in the wet. It would have been great if it kept raining all weekend to create that parity between the XXRs and the XXs. But, you know, it was a mixed weekend. We were fast up front and then it started to dry out. So Bryce drove really well. Just unfortunate turn 1 incident.
Thanks for talking to us.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Well done, Charlie Barlow, with Cutts and Reindler down in pit lane. Unfortunately, Cutts and Reindler is out of the race, and you spotted something in the background there, Thomas.
Yeah, there's a car with, it looks like damage on the front right. I think that is Zig Fuhrmeister. You can see the right front, there's damage there.
It's dragging, isn't it?
Yeah.
That front right.
Whether there's been contact there or it's a puncture or something. I think, yeah, there's been contact with another car and going to be losing some downforce there, as there goes Cooper Cutts making another move, not for position, but he's up into 7th or 6th on the road. But I think race control might have a look at that. That could be a meatball flag, potentially going the way of Zig Fuhrmeister. And I was just going to touch on Cirillo, who's 2nd on the road. The last time by, he was 3/10 faster than Peter Paddon, and on this lap alone, he's taken another 4/10 out as Peter Paddon is in the lane.
So he pits. Remember, there are pit stops in this race, so they're all coming in to serve them early. Peter Paddon, Knowles, Clare, Cirillo and Champion have stayed out on track. Now remember, Cirillo does have to hand over to Dave Allen, so he'll be maximising his time in car while the rest start to look to pit. So Champion, Hadid have stayed out on track. The rest have pitted.
Yeah, well, Cirillo, he's setting purple sectors at the moment, so he's gone faster again in Sector 1. So there is a lot of pace in the 5:27 machine here, and that gap was coming down. He took another half a second out of Paddon on that last lap, and whether or not Peter was just trying to conserve the tyres, it's a long way to go. Still half an hour in this race. So let's see what Cirillo does here, whether he pits this lap. And Cooper Cutts, I assume, would just stay out as long as possible to, regain that lap and then see what happens from there. So Cirillo, we're just following him now, whether or not, I think he's going to go round again. And this should be another fastest lap of the race. As he crosses the line, it's going to be a 1:10.9. So first car into the 10s. Paddon's best lap up until this point was 11.6.
So the challenge here for Cooper Cutts, I was trying to see if he could get himself back onto the lead lap. Now, Peter Paddon should be back out on track as Cirillo sets the fastest lap of the race. There is Cooper Cutts out on track at the moment, down through turn 1 and 2. And that should see him, if I see where Peter Paddon is out on track, I think he might have got himself back onto the lead lap. So a lot of things have to go right because he still needs to pit.
Well, he's on the same lap as those that have pitted. He's not on the lead lap to Cirillo yet, but he still needs to pit. So, yeah.
I was wondering what would it need to occur to bring him back with a lucky lap here almost. Like, set purples, see how fast you can go. Cirillo is doing that out in front with a 1:10.9 last time around, and purple through to the end of the second sector on this lap as well. It'd almost need everyone to pit him to hold this spot and then have some sort of safety car that he can get in, but then you still have to serve you full time. So I don't think there's anything Cooper Cutts can do. He's cooked, basically.
He needs a safety car now, but he's in the lane to pit, so he's still going to be that lap down, unfortunately. What he'll need to do is, like we said a bit earlier, pass everyone, then a safety car, and get back onto the train. So Cooper Cutts in the lane. Cirillo has stayed out, lowered the benchmark again to a 110.7. Now that margin before the pit stop was about 3 seconds. So we'll see what Peter Paddon does as he crosses the line. That was his out lap. So we'll see what lap time he'll do next time by.
So that's your race leader as it stands on circuit, but when they cycle out, it should be still Peter Paddon.
It'll be close though. Yeah, I think it'll be really close. So
well, that's the dent he's been putting in with these lap time after lap time, the purple after purple, and he's continuing on this charge at the moment, hoping to be able to jump Peter Paddon at the end of the pit stops.
So first sector alone on that lap, Allen with a 23.0 and Peter Paddon a 23.6. So that's more time being taken out of Peter Paddon here. And whether or not it's just a case of Peter saying, I'm just going to look after these tyres. Well, at the moment, Allen, he's going to go faster. He should go faster again this time by a 10.69. So middle sectors were very similar on this lap, but
he's taken another 10th out of him through the middle too, has Cirillo. So Peter Paddon's got a personal best middle sector, but right now, the 5.27 is still setting fastest lap after fastest lap of the race. Hadid now into the pit lane, meaning that only Sue Hughes and Cirillo are still to pit. You'd imagine it'll be happening soon. Remember, he has to get out of the car and hand over to Dave Allen. So that pit stop will include a driver change.
Yeah, correct. And then Allen, all the pressure's going to be on Allen because he could come out in the lead here potentially or be very close to Peter Paddon. So the first sector on that last lap, 23.1, Peter Paddon 23.4. So more time being taken out of Peter Paddon here. And at the moment you'd say, well, maybe we'll keep Cirillo out there because he's just putting some blistering lap times down at the moment. As he enters the final corner, what's he going to do? He's going to go around again. So crosses the line, he just sets his fastest middle sector. And as Peter Paddon gets to the middle sector, we'll see what lap time that is. It's a 25.4, so another 10th and a half.
10.9. So 3 tenths he's dropped away from his previous best, has Cirillo. You'd imagine that might be it. That might be the window of it. There's Peter Paddon. So the time you were watching, he has the fastest final sector of all. He gave up 3 tenths in the first sector this lap, a 10th in the second sector, and he breaks the beam with a 1:11.0. So only a 10th to the advantage of Cirillo, but I think the damage might have already been done. He'll be coming in pretty soon, will Cirillo, as Peter Paddon starting to find his pace in that car. We know he can go quicker, but the 1:11.0 is his personal best, and that was his last lap around. We're waiting to see whether Cirillo will come in. Again, he stayed out on track for another lap.
Yeah, it's probably time now because the lap times are getting pretty much evenly matched between those two. So I would say this is probably the time to pit, or very...
Paddon got a 10th back on him in the first sector. And the 25.5, he's given up 3 tenths on his best through the middle. So we'll look at this. We'll be monitoring the times just like the teams will be doing in pit lane. They're even through the middle, so he's really not giving up much at the moment.
No.
Is Mark Cirillo. So that is who we see on screen right now. Mark Cirillo in the 5.27, the only driver on track yet to pit. 24 minutes, 30 seconds remaining, plus 1 lap.
Just confirmation with Zig Fuhrmeister, that damage you saw on the right front was to do with that contact at the start of the race. So they're still in the pits. They've been there for over 6 minutes, so that will be them done for the afternoon, which is a bit of a shame because he did a really good job getting up into the top 6 there. So not going to be classified in this one as we keep following Cirillo, still opting to stay out at the moment. Peter Paddon just set his fastest first sector, which is still a 10th away from what Cirillo did on this lap. So it's getting closer to trading times, but I think Cirillo's taken a bit of ground out of that lead that Paddon had. This is going to be close to watch once Cirillo pits.
So I'm still holding on. Cirillo driving with Dave Allen. They're currently leading the round points, 147. So they're the leading AM class car, but they're also leading overall as Cooper Cutts now sets the fastest of all through the middle sector. Still a lap down though. In fact, with the leader continuing to circulate, he's 2.4 laps down, but really when it cycles out, about 1 full lap down will be Cooper Cutts.
Peter Paddon just set his fastest lap of the race at 10.9. And we'll see what happens here. He can't be too far away from pitting, I wouldn't have thought. Cirillo, 50-minute race. So maybe they just wanted to evenly split the driving time because we're around 23 minutes remaining. So there will be a driver change in that car. Dave Allen will be handed the keys in the Radical SR3 RSX. And I'd say not too far away here. Maybe just even stinting it, Cameron.
It could be. I think it's just going over to the side of the ledger of Mark Cirillo, though, as he goes around another lap. 22 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Should give a shout out to Cooper Cutts, fastest lap of the race. That last one around, a 1:10.6. Trying to get every extra point he can get out on track and continuing on with it through the middle sector.
So these cars, around turn 2, may as well go for a lap around this track, Cameron. 5th gear, 165 kilometres an hour through turn 2, and this is the run down to turn 3. 6th gear on approach, 220 kilometres an hour, braking at the 100-metre board in one of these cars. It's about a 50-bar brake, so about 800 PSI roughly. 80 kilometres an hour at the middle of the corner at turn 3, 2nd gear, and then up to 5th gear on approach to turn number 4. Braking just before, there's a bit of an extra road which they use for the club circuit on the right-hand side. Brake just before that, back to 3rd, 95 k's an hour mid-corner speed at turn number 4. And then you're going through turn 5 around 135 kilometres an hour. No brake in these cars. And then you're braking, there's a tyre barrier on the inside at turn number 6, the final corner on the track. 200 k's on approach, and then you're back down to 3rd gear at 80 kilometres an hour. And then the run down the Dick Johnson straight here, you can see just how bumpy it is in one of these cars. They run them so low to the ground and very stiffly sprung. 5th gear on approach there, and they're doing 10,000 RPM on the way into turn 1.
So we're now watching Peter Paddon out on track. He's completed his pit stop, and yes, Thomas, I really did appreciate you taking us through that lap in one of these cars. They'd be fun to drive. Imagine the commitment down into turn 1. For drivers not used to aero, it would be a thrill for sure, as Terry Knowles now.
Now this is a battle that's been raging on for a while here. This is Russell and Knowles, and remember, this car, the 18 car, started from the pit lane. They had to do an engine change between races after some gearbox dramas. So Russell's up into 4th position here, and Terry Knowles right in behind. This has been a great drive from Russell, who started, last. And it was probably a good thing that he started from pit lane because he avoided all the carnage that happened down at turn 1.
He's gone very well. Look how far up the order he is. Now this driver though, the 16 of Cooper Cutts, he's a lap down. He's going very quickly. He's done a 10.5, so continuing to lower his fastest lap of the race. But he won't be in contention for this one. The driver I've been watching is Cirillo. 20 minutes remaining in this race, plus 1 lap. We see Peter Paddon on screen, currently sits 2nd. But the reality is that is the driver leading on track right now, yet to pit. And yes, you can check that as my 3rd one for the day, Thomas Randall.
You know who's setting some good times out here? Russell, personal best in the 1st and 2nd sector. Cirillo still staying out there. Maybe they're just watching the radar potentially and thinking, you know, if it does decide to have a little bit of a sprinkle, maybe we'll just wait rather than pitting twice. However,
right on cue.
Right on cue. Just get a message from one of our team, Charlie, saying that there are a few little drops of rain in pit lane, so could be a master stroke here. And I'll tell you what, looking at the times, just taking another 4 tenths out of Paddon in the 1st sector. So we needed the calculator a few laps ago to sort of work out just how many tenths of a second he's taken out on that last lap. At 1:10.7 for Cirillo. We've got just under 19 minutes remaining here. And Paddon not far away from crossing the line. We'll see what lap time he does in the number 1 machine. And Champion in third, Russell fourth. And there we go. It's a 1:11.3, so 4/10 slower on that lap for Paddon. So more ground being made up for Cirillo here. And Cooper Cutts down in ninth. He's done a 10.4 on that last lap. So maybe a little bit frustrated he's a lap down and just trying to prove a point, I would say.
Well, hoping he lower his benchmark new race lap record, which he set yesterday with a 109.60. Fair way away from that time with the 110.47 that he set in this race. The big question is, when will Cirillo pit? 18 minutes and 1 lap remaining. He has to hand over this car to Dave Allen.
Not going to be this time by Mr. Vanden Dungen. He's staying out for another tour of the Queensland Raceway circuit, 3.1 kilometres around here. And 17.5 minutes remaining in this race as we're approaching. So Dave Allen, I assume, is waiting in the pit lane with his helmet on because, like you said, he's got to do a pit stop and got to do a driver change.
I'll be feeling a bit shortchanged. Hang on a second. It's a 50-minute race.
Yeah, well,
you're handing over to me with 15 minutes.
I wanted my 25 minutes in the car.
Do you reckon the invoice will be adjusted?
No comment there. Maybe we need to go down and ask, see what's going to happen with that invoice, like you said there.
No, Cirillo leads from Paddon. Having said that, Paddon has completed his stop, and he's got a good advantage over Champion, who's third.
I'll tell you what, once again, half a second in the first sector Cirillo has taken out of Paddon on this lap alone. So this is going to be super close once that car pits and once again goes round again. So
he's forgotten?
I was starting to wonder that. Has he forgotten? Maybe they've lost radio comms and he's just said, oh, it's I'm just going to leave it out there. So anyway, 16 minutes to go and he's taking more and more ground out of Paddon. And that was, we'll just see what lap time. So that was a 1:11.0 for Cirillo, and Paddon is about to cross the line, and he's going to do a 11.6, a 1:11.6 there, Cameron. So that's another 6/10 that Cirillo has taken out of Paddon on this time by. I'll tell you what, it's going to be close, isn't it, Cameron, when that car decides to, or remembers, to pit?
I think based on the times he's been setting throughout, I think he'd be through. He has to be clear at the end of the stop. So Cirillo, Paddon, Champion, as they are on the timing board. As we keep reiterating, Cirillo yet to stop. Peter Paddon, he was unfortunate with that disqualification after race number 1.
Another 4/10, and here we go. This is Russell and Champion. So Russell getting the move done.
Cirillo is in the pit lane. I've been on Cirillo watch, and here he is. He'll be handing over to Dave Allen shortly. Go for a co-drive. Hopped in.
It's a heck of a driver change, isn't it? You've got the other driver literally in the car waiting to change over. So now we've got to follow this car because he's coming around to start the lap.
Yes.
Which will put him essentially back on the lead lap. So he's got to do a whole nother tour of the circuit. And this is going to be, I would say, let's follow this closely because it's going to be between the 527 of Cirillo, and we're just hearing now that there is actual rain falling, which...
As opposed to virtual rain,
As
I'd
opposed
imagine.
to virtual rain, correct, but no one's doing a tyre change here at the moment, so we'll see what happens there. You can see the raindrops on the lens.
Think about what that means. Cirillo has stayed out right to the moment when the rain started to fall, and they'll be getting going very shortly, but he has to traverse the entire pit lane. He's right at pit entry and he's away. So this is the battle now for the race lead. Dave Allen at the wheel of his Radical SR3 RSX.
It feels like an eternity, Cameron, just trundling down the lane at 40 kilometres an hour. There is Peter Paddon making his way up to the final corner.
He should be clear, well and truly clear. Look at this. Dave Allen, courtesy of Mark Cirillo, should come out in the lead, well and truly clear. In fact, the length of the straight. And the race is on, 13 minutes, 47 seconds plus 1 lap. So Cirillo, who handed over to Dave Allen, Leeds, Paddon, Russell and Knowles, your top 4.
You can actually see the rain and the track. Look how slow they're going round turn 2 now. So that last lap, Paddon, a 1:14.1. So that's nearly 4 seconds or 3 seconds slower. There's raindrops on the camera lens there down into turn 3. This would be terrible conditions for Allen to be rejoining, not only in the lead, but you're on slick as a moment at turn 3 and it's slippery. So there's still 13 minutes to go. What do these guys do? Do they pit for wets? Or does one of them pit and the other one stay out? Because there's literally so much rain now. And
warm tyres as well for Paddon. Remember, he's been circulating on those tyres in the dry conditions, so he's actually got some heat in there, whereas Allen has come out of pit lane.
Yeah,
so he's had a chance to cool down, and he's really struggling.
I'd say Paddon will get the move done. I mean, he's done the whole race effectively. Allen's on his out lap in these conditions, so I think this will probably be the move done, you'd say, side by side, and there goes through Peter Paddon. But look at you can see the 11s that are being laid down from how wet it is, and the 34, that is champion going around.
Yep. So Allen trying to go with Peter Paddon here. It's not over yet. Remember, we saw cars falling off the circuit with rain at the back end of race number 1.
So that's the 23 gone around. That's Hernandez. And can he get that thing fired up? I'd say surely. The lights are flashing. That's a very awkward spot to be stopped. And there's a yellow flag. You can see we've just gone safety car actually, and that could be for the 23 of Hernandez. So
there's really no time to come in and pit. You just have to stay out circulating in these conditions.
Now, just a thought. If you're Cooper Cutts, do you consider going to wet tyres?
He's a lap down. He'd go
Nothing to lose.
He'd probably go another 2 laps down in wet conditions
and make that back up. It'd be tough. 11 minutes to go.
He's got He gets points here because he still holds the fastest lap of the race with a 1:10.4. So he gets an additional point. Rotating in 9th, I think he gives up too much by coming in. He just has to circulate, take his medicine. He had a good, solid series lead. So I hear what you're saying, but I think the team will say, bank the points, let's bring it home, and we'll worry about the next race later. As the safety car is deployed, you can see it disappearing into the distance down there at turn 1.
Well, at the moment, Cooper's actually second for the round on points. So as it stands, Allen would win the round on 140 points. Cooper Cutts would be second on 136. And Terry Knowles would be third for the round, which would be fantastic for him. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens here. 10.5 minutes to go. The green light is on, letting a few of the... Well, that's Ibi Hadid through. Now, I wonder if they will let Cooper Cutts through. We'll have to wait and see. I doubt it. So we've got around 10.5 minutes to go. And there is the 23, stranded there. Wouldn't happen to be a Ford Raptor recovery vehicle getting that thing off the road, would it, Cameron?
It's back on our screen. No, it looks like a different vehicle.
Toyota Hilux.
Yeah, but we'll have the Ford Raptor recovery vehicle, no doubt, somewhere in the background as the BMW M safety car does another lap. How many Ks have they put on that car this weekend?
Needs a top-up, I think. So, just been told that Steve Champion came into the lane wanting to change the tyres, but the team politely denied that request. So...
Well, the safety car actually helps them. I think the rain has abated.
Eased, hasn't it?
Yeah, so they can stay out there. A few of the drivers might have been concerned on no grip, but the reality is just gave up too much track position.
And this is our field, and the car is still stranded there. So I think they've just waited for the field to go by before they resume the recovery of that. And I'm just curious to see who the safety car has picked up here. So... because they'll probably have to, if it's not the leaders, they'll have to let those cars through, I would say. And whether or not that might help Cooper Cutts if they let those cars, so that's Terry Knowles. They've picked up the leader. So yeah, it'll stay as is. Sorry, not Terry Knowles, Peter Paddon. Our race leader got that move done on Allen, which there was always going to be tricky conditions because he's exiting the pits and the track was a little bit wet. The rain has stopped now. The track will be drying up. can see Cooper Cutts in there, third on the road, but a lap down, so 9th overall. But like I said, as it stands, he'll still finish second for the round.
A good round. Peter Paddon's had the big comeback, though. It looked disastrous at the end of yesterday when we arrived this morning and saw the disqualification. Thought it would be a long road back, but one bad race for Cooper Cutts, and much of the damage that was done last night has been mitigated. So Paddon, Allen, Knowles, Clare, Russell, the top 5. And as you mentioned off the top of this one, the fact that the team of Russell managed to get him to pit exit, get him out on track, and the fact he's been able to get the car up into the top 5 is an absolute credit to that team.
Absolutely. I mean, I saw the guys just flat out. Macaulay Jones was in there too, helping get that engine change sorted, and Dan Canto was in there. You know, it was just full-blown assault, get that thing out there, and I was a bit unsure when the rest of the field left. I thought, oh no, they're not going to make it, but they just got out there and waited at pit exit, avoided the chaos and the carnage, and they're up into 5th position. So we're hearing the safety car, the BMW M safety car, will be lights out this time by. And is this going to be another one of those Peter Paddon restarts? Is he going to wait until the control line to go?
I think it's actually it'd be a smart decision for him, because you don't really want to go barreling down at a full speed of a stand on the gas from the final turn. He'll probably want the minimum amount of entry speed when he gets down there for the first time. So lights now officially out on the BMW M safety car, meaning that Peter Paddon, one more time, maybe, controls a restart. So Paddon with Allen right up underneath him. Now, if Allen can hold that position, as you've mentioned, he will be the round winner, but Terry Knowles will be fighting for it. So Paddon, Allen, Knowles and Clare. We are in the hands of your race leader, and he's gone already. He went early.
Caught everyone off guard there. So he's going to be careful, because turn 1, there was a little bit of rain. So I want to make sure that he doesn't spear it off on the resumption of the race. 6 minutes to go here. Peter Paddon barreling into turn 1, followed by Allen, and then Cooper Cutts on the road is third. We know that car is a lap down, and he's lost a lot on the restart there. So he's going to want to be careful. He needs to get a hurry on here, because he is a lap down. He's going to hold up guys like Knowles, Clare, Russell, because they're all fighting for 3rd position. As here we go. That's Clare down the inside. We're 3 wide as we head down to turn number 3, and nearly going to try and make it 4 wide. I think that's Champion in the background there. Who's going to come out on top of this?
Russell will get it done up the inside. So Russell through on Clare.
I don't think it's over yet, because I think Clare has now got the inside on Russell for turn number 4. As, yeah, there is Clare going back down the inside of Russell. And they try and go side by side through turn 5. That never works. And Terry Knowles is the big loser there, because he was in he was in 4th position, and he's dropped back into 6th.
That fight is really helping Allen, who's sitting in 2nd place. He's been able to get a bit of a gap, although Peter Clare has been able to clear the Russell threat. And he's set his eyes up the road on Cooper Cutts, as Cooper Cutts is putting the pressure now onto Dave Allen, and that's to unlap himself.
Yeah, if he can get past Allen, I mean, at this point, 4.5 minutes to go, it's a bit of an impossible task, isn't it, to try and unlap yourself. So just a bit of fun now, I think, for Cooper Cutts, as Allen has just been handed a 15-second penalty. So we're unsure what that is for, but I'll tell you what, that's going to take him out of the round win. That is a massive blow for that car, who looks so strong. And 15 seconds, that'll drop them to 8th here on the road. And
I wonder if it relates to a compulsory pit stop window. Cirillo did run very long, so I keep an eye out on that.
I did see, as he exited the pit lane, I saw the pit speed on the wall said 46. So whether or not it's a pit speed issue.
Good thing we got Charlie Barlow down there as we watch the 34 of Champion, who's running in 6th at the moment, just running long under brakes. So Paddon and Allen. Allen won't hold that position. A 15-second time penalty will drop him right down the order. So that will move Russell up.
And guess
into
who
the
will win the
top
round?
two.
Guess who will win the round? Cooper Cutts. After that turn 1 incident, but yeah, what a shame for the 5.27 car. I saw it and I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to jinx it, but they're all over that down in the pit lane. I assume that's what it'll be for. We'll just have to wait and see for confirmation, but they did everything right, didn't they? And now that's going to drop them right down. So that'll mean that Peter Paddon will finish, I would say, potentially second for the round. We'll just have to wait and see once the points and the position shake out as Cooper Cutts applying the pressure on Allen. Not for position, but trying to work his way to unlap himself. At the moment, it's just sort of too little too late anyway, and Cooper's not really hurting anyone's race behind, and Russell, so he's going to finish second in this race. What a story that is after starting from the pit lane.
It'll be a big turn up, a lot more points as well as you move up the order. So Paddon on another lap. He's firing it off up into the distance as Cooper Cutts puts pressure on Dave Allen. But it's really the man behind them, the 18. That's going to be on the second step of the podium at the end of this one.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoken about it, but an incredible job from the whole Arise Racing team to get that car back out on the track. And when you change an engine, you know, it's a big thing as there goes the number 16, running the 5.27 a little bit wide as well. So be careful because he's a lap down. Don't want to interfere too much with those cars. And here's Russell behind the 5.27, which I'm sure he would have already been told that, hey, don't need to risk anything. And Allen lets him through, I would say. And so now he's actually up into second on the road. So yeah, what a story for him and for the Arise Racing team getting that car back out. And, you know, it's a big thing changing the engine and the whole rear of the car, really. And there was no chance to test it and make sure it worked. It was just bolt it together, fire it up, make sure it's got oil and water in it, and send it out there. And so far, it is working. So that car now in second position outright and on 96 points. So won't make the outright podium, but I think in the AM class, I'll just have to do my maths here. He may finish third in AM class, which would still be a great result.
Yeah, wonderful result. That's a team effort, that one, a true team effort. We'll have 2 laps remaining, so 56 seconds. They should get this one done with about 10 seconds to spare, which will give them another lap. So 44 seconds remaining. Peter Paddon, Russell and Knowles, after it all shakes out, will be your top 3. That's a great drive from Terry Knowles too. He's been in everything this weekend.
Yeah, it is, and he'll move up into third after that penalty, and he's currently on the same number of points as Peter Paddon, so he will jump Peter Paddon in terms of the round points, and we'll just have to see. So Cooper Cutts will get the round win as it stands. We'll have to wait and see what happens with Allen once the penalty is applied. Just looking at the timing, that'll drop him, I think, down to about 8th because Cooper's a lap down. So, yeah, that is a bit of a disappointment, and we're just hearing that it may be...
It'll be 2 laps to go now.
2 laps to go.
Yeah, because they've just counted down. So it's end of that lap, so the end of the time plus 1 lap.
Yep.
So this is the lap that is counted down to, and there'll be 1 more lap remaining.
I'm sure Allen will be well aware that he has that penalty lingering over him. So that will drop him, like I said, to about 8th. Just doing the maths, quick maths on the timing. Cooper Cutts, well, he's 9th and a lap down, as we know, so won't fall behind him. But as it stands, Cutts looking at still winning the round, and Terry Knowles will move up. Just have to see what happens with Allen, whether he'll hang on to second for the round. And here is our race leader. Hasn't put a foot wrong here. We thought for a moment that it was going to be on between Paddon and Allen. They did come out in front of the number 1 machine after the pit stops were done, but Peter Paddon is doing the job so far.
Starts the last lap of the race. The last lap in anger this weekend. What has been a wonderful Event-elect GT Festival Queensland as part of the Shannon Speed Series. Really enjoying the show that the 2025 First Focus Radical Cup Australia category has been putting on. The cars are well turned out. The racing has been fantastic. And Peter Paddon saw the checkered flag first yesterday, but then had it taken away from him. No such question marks over his drive today.
No, it has been faultless. And even yesterday when he got the race win, you know, still was a very impressive drive from Peter Paddon. Just a shame about that penalty. And if you were just tuning in and joining us, you'd think this was the battle for the lead. Unfortunately, it is not. Cooper Cutts is trying to set the fastest lap of the race on the last lap, which he's already got, to be fair. But will he go even faster again on this lap? We'll have to wait and see. But Peter Paddon rounds the final corner and will take victory in the final race here of the first Focus Radical Cup Australia Series.
Well done, Peter Paddon. We'll hear from him shortly at the end of Victory Lane. There's the podium, Russell and Knowles, because Knowles will get through on Dave Allen, courtesy of the 15-second time penalty that was applied to the 5.27. So Paddon, Russell, Knowles. And Cooper Cutts on that last lap wasn't able to go faster than his previous best. Here's the official results from the first Focus Radical Cup Australia, race number 3. And it was Peter Paddon, number 1 on the side of the car, and number 1 at the end of the race. Bradley Russell, with an engine change for Arise Racing, got home in second. That is an incredible team effort. Terry Knowles will jump up into third in the official results. Stephen Champion will be in fourth. Peter Clare, Bill Medlin, Ibi Hadid should all move up a spot. And then you'll see Dave Allen slot in just ahead of Cooper Cutts, who will come home in ninth as well. Sue Hughes just a bit further back. And let's have a look at the replay now of the start. And it was on from turn number 1. Peter Paddon got the slight better jump at the beginning of it. Cooper Cutts had the inside run. And you'll notice here, a little bit of a moment down at turn 1. And unfortunately, Chris Reindler also got caught up, as did Zig Fuhrmeister. And that was pretty much the end of the day for Chris Reindler. Zig Fuhrmeister did get through and Cooper Cutts went a lap down. When we restarted, Terry Knowles was the threat early to Peter Paddon. But it wasn't too long before we saw the rise of Cirillo. Plenty of moves going on up and down the order. They kept it relatively tidy, but Cirillo at the wheel of this entry just kept circulating. When everyone else pitted, like Peter Paddon, it was all about Cirillo. Then the rain fell when we just started to finish all of our pit stops and caught a few of them out. Not least the 23 of Jim Hernandez. And in the end, it was Peter Paddon that took the green flag again. I think he started to have deja vu with so many restarts. And Dave Allen, who was at the wheel of this entry, dropped further and further and further down the order and had the 15-second time penalty applied. But the class of the field, the form of the race for race number 3 for the first Focus Radical Cup Australia was that man right there, Peter Paddon. He'll be making his way back down. In fact, he's already there in Victory Lane. We'll hear from him very shortly. He'll be very happy with this one. Unfortunately for him, he had it taken away yesterday. But with this one, it'll make his 3rd win for the season and his 11th overall in the category. So that's just 1 behind Cooper Cutts, who's got 12 to his name. Straight over to get amongst it. Charlie Barlow, I know you're down there. Before we come down to you, though, Thomas Randall, any thoughts?
Just going to say that penalty, unfortunately for Allen, has dropped him out of winning the round in the AM class. So Terry Knowles actually wins the round in the AM class, and Cooper Cutts wins the round in the Pro-Am, and Peter Paddon will be 2nd in Pro-Am. So, yeah, that penalty has been pretty costly for Allen.
Fantastic. Let's go down now to Charlie Barlow.
Peter Paddon, congratulations. That's the way you want to finish a weekend.
Yeah, not really. It wasn't that much of a fight in the end, I guess. I guess good result in the end. It was good to send it around the outside of turn 1. That was a bit hairy, but then it was, when I was, Coop was a lap down and Bryce was a lap down, and it was just managing, and we knew rain was coming, and it was just don't screw it up from here.
Well, can you talk us through that opening lap incident from your perspective?
I just drove around the outside and looked in the mirror. There was a big cloud of dust. There was no contact. There was room on the inside. I didn't feel anything. So, I don't know what happened behind me, but I was past it, I think, when it happened.
And of course, this claws back championship points for you. Obviously, it's more wins for you. This is great for you heading to the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's a nice way to end the weekend. Coming into the weekend, it felt like we had a bit of pace, particularly in the wet. So, yeah, the ride height thing, just hitting that curb and knocking the splitter was, you know, it's just one of those things. So, yeah, maybe a bit of karma in the end. I don't know, but yeah, it's good to have a closer championship heading into the next round.
Congratulations, enjoy the win. All right, let's head over to Brad Russell. This is one heck of a story. Brad, if we can just grab you for a quick chat on camera. My goodness, the team are racing to fit a brand new engine as everyone is rolling out into the lane. You start from pit lane and you're standing P2. Well done, my friend.
Well done to the team. I couldn't believe it. I didn't think it was going to happen, and somehow they got it ready in time. And yeah, we started from pit lane and we had a few things go our way. But it was good. A lot of fun out there, and so happy that we actually got out there for the second race for me. Really good.
And the smile just absolutely says it all.
Oh, so happy. Yeah, they did such an amazing job to get it. Like, it was within maybe 30 seconds of not getting out there. So
As close as you want to come to it.
yeah, yep.
Well, congratulations. Yeah. Enjoy that result. That is sensational. Terry Knowles, where is Terry? Here he is. Come on over here, Terry. We'll make sure we get your car in the background, sir.
Green machine.
Yes, congratulations. A podium to finish the weekend.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely fantastic. I mean, it was a race that just delivered everything. I had no idea where we were going half the time, and then we got the wet. And I mean, look, realistically, these are the guys, my team, absolutely amazing. And our podium, can't wait. It's absolutely amazing. Thank you.
No problems at all. Enjoy that podium. Enjoy that well hard-earned drink. Well, that is it. That is the last session of round 3 of the Shannons series. And thanks to Shannons, you are still in with a chance to win at Goodwood.